Hi, friends and family,
Welcome to Hope After Addiction
with your hosts, Katie Comer.
and Chelsea McLeod.
Hi, welcome to Hope After Addiction. We're so happy that you've joined us today. How are you, friend?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing
Yeah.
good. We are in the middle of our forgiveness series. We're doing like a mini series and breaking down forgiveness and stuff that God has revealed to us that we've walked through that we want to kind of dig a little deeper into. So the previous episode that we did, we talked a little bit about self-forgiveness, which was an interesting one when you're trying to study for it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it brought out a lot of good conversation
Yes.
and hopefully encouraged you. And today is another one that's kind of interesting. And you don't think about it when you're walking through something difficult, but it's really about forgiving God. And when you think about that, you're like, but it's God.
It like hurts to even say it, you know?
But like, is that something that you're really struggling with? Like, are you angry about about what you're walking through?
Yeah.
Because honestly, my life didn't look like I thought God was going to I trust you.
Yep.
You're the one that I trust. And now I'm walking in the most despair I've ever walked in. And why are you forsaking me?
Yep. That's what it feels like.
Like, why? And so if you're really honest, I feel like if you're listening to us, you're walking through something and you might not struggle with it. And that's great. And you can just kind of move on to the next episode.
Right. But it's imperative for the one that does.
But for somebody who really is struggling to, maybe they're losing faith
Yep.
because of who God says he is and he's not really delivering. Right.
Yep.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that in our kind of walks and what God's taught us in studying for this. And forgiving God.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I had found a statistic, and I could not find it studying for this. This was a couple years ago. But there is a large amount, and I wish I could remember the exact number, of people that leave the church out of anger towards God. Yeah. And it's more so like I felt betrayed, or I've been punished by God, or he didn't answer my prayers. Yeah. And so when I saw that and I read an article and I was like, wow, it makes sense, because I know people in my life that have stepped away from their faith because of a tragedy or something that's happened. And they're like, but how could God, or how could this? And I have a personal story with this. I had never struggled with God. Was just always, I knew he was faithful. I knew he was sovereign. Through infertility, through miscarriages, like that was just never one. Now, did I question, like, God, why? Why this? Why me? Yes, I did. But it was actually, even through addiction, it was never a thing for me. Now, the overdose, when John overdosed and I found him dead on the floor, was when I got angry at God. And it's the craziest thing, because I remember praying so hard, fervently, like life was finally good. Everything was good. And then I could tell something was off. And long story short, he ended up overdosing in the bathroom floor. And as we worked through that, I was a wreck. I found he was blue. And our pastor and his wife were working with us. They were our best friends. And I remember working with them one night, and she may have asked me the question, but I finally said it out loud. I said, I'm mad at God. And I think she asked me. And when I finally verbalized that, and for personal perspective, I felt like he didn't hear me. What brought John back to life that night was prayer in the name of Jesus. And so in my skewed perspective of a human response who felt betrayed and hurt, I blamed God for it, which was so unfair. But when I finally was able to say, like, you're the one that saved his life that night. I shouldn't be mad at you. This feeling is misplaced towards you because of what I just walked through. Now, years after, I can see, which we'll get into, but how God used that dreadful, horrendous, hellish night to catapult our story of freedom. But that night and that season we walked through, I couldn't see that. And I was mad because I had prayed so hard. God, let me find it. I know it's here. I'm searching. I know he's doing something wrong. I just know. But instead, I found him overdosed. So in my eyes that night, he didn't answer my prayer. But he saved his life when I prayed. And so I had a long journey to work through that. But once I brought it into light, as the Bible says, there's freedom. And so it's very important to ask yourself in the season, whatever tough season you're in, are you angry at God? Is that a thing? you know? And I remember even after that, sitting on the couch in our house, and I was like, God, my whole life, you know, my dad leaving, my brother on drugs, my brother in jail, infertility, miscarriage, now John, all this. I just remember crying, like, when do I get a break? Like, why? What have I done wrong? What am I being punished for? And that's not what God was doing at all. Like, he was giving me a story and showing me his mercy so that I could go out and love others that are walking this same journey. And so it is so imperative, because if you are in any unforgiveness towards God, like, it's so important to work through that, because there will forever be a wall between the two of you if you are angry at him in any form or fashion, because it doesn't seem fair. And I know that life isn't fair, you know, but until we realize that it's not God's fault and that he is going to use us for his glory and his good, we will forever have, I mean, literally a wedge between us. And so it's so important to dig into this and figure out if there's any place in this in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was studying for this, I was looking up like illustrations and stuff. And there was one, when I think about those times where you are just in despair.
Yeah.
I was in despair. But like, why me? What's going on? I feel like it's like a very, almost like a dark, wintry place, like lonely, the valley, dry winter. So this illustration came up when I was studying for it. It says, winter doesn't mean the tree is dead. Roots grow deep in the cold seasons.
Ooh.
In the same way, your season of silence or suffering may be growing you something in that fruitlessness that never could. May be growing something in you that fruitlessness never could. So just knowing that you in that season of emptiness or the winter or the valley, what you think is purposeless, like there's no purpose in it, right? There's no purpose in this. God is firmly rooting you into his faithfulness if you allow it.
Yep.
Right.
That's so
and
true.
it's so easy, like you said, like it's so easy to blame or misplace that anger to God, you know, instead of there is a purpose for this, and shifting your gaze to the one who is faithful. Your dark seasons, your winter is for a purpose, and recognizing that. Chelsea's season of the overdose was one of the worst winters, right?
100%.
Valleys, winter that she could, but God was growing that root in her and John for something so much more fruitful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so true. Remember always the analogy I say about Papa with the valleys. Like
I love
that's
that.
where the rivers are. That's where the shade is. That's where the trees with the fruits are. Like the mountaintops are to see where you've been. Like now I can see what God brought us through and how he used that. But when you're in those valleys, like that is so powerful what she just read, because that is where your roots come from. That is the depth. That is that like winter season. Yes. Where you are so close with him that he's rooting you. It's like the plant that is digging you deep. And without these, it's hard to have I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for these times.
Never thought you'd say that.
I never thought, nor do I still like to say it around John. You know, we joke. I was like, shh, don't hear this, you know. But I'm grateful for what he did in our lives in this place. And John Piper, there's a song, Though He Slays Me, and John Piper speaks in it. But it's like, it's not for nothing. The cancer, you know, and the addiction, the miscarriages, the whatever you're going through, it's not for nothing. And though it feels like he slays us and we go through these slaying periods, it's not for nothing. And he is using it for his good.
I think there's also something to be said for being honest with God about, as weird as it is to talk to him about how I really don't like you right now. I think that God can handle your honesty.
Yeah.
God
Because
can
here's
handle
the
it.
deal. He already knows it.
Yeah. He already knows your innermost thoughts. And I think that there's something so freeing and something so healing about speaking it out loud. And that goes for a bunch of different things, right? Speaking to your loved one about how you're feeling. Like we've talked kind of about that, but, and setting those boundaries and being honest, and so people can handle honesty. It's good for you. It's good for your soul to be honest. And that goes for this, for forgiving God or what you feel like needs to be forgiveness, right? It's being honest and saying, God, I feel like you have abandoned me. I feel like you have betrayed me. I need to feel your closeness. I need to feel faith again, and having that honest conversation, because that statistic that you said at the very beginning, I feel like so many people don't have that honest conversation and just give up.
That's right. They just walk away.
And they walk away, and God can handle it. God can handle your honesty. Now, what do you go from there? Like, yes, praying about it and saying, God, I feel abandoned.
Yeah.
I feel all alone. I don't even know if you're even here. Like having that honest conversation, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
And then turning that into, okay, now how do I go about actively getting my faith firmly rooted? And so we always talk about it, right? Going back to the word, reading the word, saying what the word says about you and your story, talking to other people and having them lift you up in your season of drought or your season of hurt, lifting you up. Have them pray for you when you can't. Have them worship for you when you can't even lift your hands.
Yeah.
You need those people in your life where you can they can carry you during the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a story on that, what Katie was just talking about. And I share it with a lot of my girls when I work on this, and our cousins walk through this journey, and I've talked to you about them in a different struggle, but they were about 2 weeks apart from us from discovering a lot of stuff. And there was one morning, and my cousin, her husband, and he woke up, and he was doing a part-time job. They had moved to intense counseling. It's a really cool thing, biblical. And he was just pouring his heart out. He just woke up angry, and it was about 3 a.m. and just mad, just telling God, like, why would you let this happen? Like, I'm angry at you, and I'm mad. And so he gets to his place outside of Atlanta where he was working, and his best friend is sitting in the driveway at 4:00 a.m. And he's like, what are you doing here? And Mark said, I don't know. God told me you would need me this morning. And Jason's whole response is, God knew. He knew my heart, and he also knew exactly what I needed. So in the time that I was praying, he was driving 2 hours to come meet me that day. And it's whenever you feel these things, like God knows your heart. And all Abba, Father, Daddy, he wants you to just come sit at his feet and share. Pour out your heart, cry, whatever you have to do. That's all he wants from you. And then he will help to walk you through that and heal those areas where you're in pain and reveal where it's misplaced. And as Isaiah 55:8-9 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. I never would have chosen the overdose that night, ever, in a million years. Did it catapult my husband into even more so of a warrior than he was? Yes. Did it catapult my relationship with God? Yes. And I see that God knows infinitely more than we could ever dream or imagine. And so if you're struggling with this, ask God, just like Katie said, like reveal in your heart where you may be struggling and free you, cleanse that.
Good. I love that. So we hope you felt encouraged today, knowing that some of these topics, you feel so alone that you are feeling them. Like, I don't ever want to speak out loud that I'm angry at God. That's just, it seems so taboo.
It feels dirty.
I know, but you're not alone. And hopefully you felt encouraged on how to handle those and how to handle that emotion and where to go from there. And there's many more topics that we can talk about. We are probably going to continue this series of different things that God's revealed to us within the forgiveness, little subcategories, mini series, if you will. So we hope that you've enjoyed it. We hope that you felt encouraged that you're not alone and how to handle these different types of forgiveness. So We hope that you have a great day. If you are watching this on any of our social medias, make sure you share it. So that's how we get the word out and who we are, Hope After Addiction. If you find this on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and a subscribe and share us. We are so thankful for our listeners. We hope that you have a blessed day, and we will see you next time. Bye.